back.
I'm live.
Back again.
I'm out of internet.
Huh?
Wait a minute. No. Okay. Never mind. Nothing.
Jason's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Let's see.
Anybody else coming back to see you?
See if anybody else is coming back. Everybody might have went over to cab.
Oh, was he on?
I think so.
That's okay too.
I'll give it a few more seconds, see if anybody jumps on. Anybody here? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? 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 Dun 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 dun. Okay, saying that we got 3 people in here now, but ain't nobody talking in the chat. Alright, William Galloway is here. So, William, while we're waiting on everybody else to come back, do you got any questions? Probably not.
Because he's a man.
He traps.
I know.
Yep. Who just hit me up on that?
Probably Nanda. You asked her if she could see you.
It was Nanda. Nanda business. Don't do that, Apollo. No.
Okay, what was the number?
Here I sit, Mr. Vapor.
252-7174. Alright, I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
William, I guess you're just the only one in
All right,
here right
yeah.
now. Nobody knows the trouble of sleep. Nobody. Remember when we first when we were first doing live streams?
Yeah, we have like 5 people in rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
That's just because you got people.
And remember we used to have all that internet trouble. Are the cuffs as reliable as my Victor coils? More. They're more reliable. Now how you go?
What? She said she just saw it.
They are more reliable. And the reason being is the chances of you actually having a pull out are slim to none. The target specific critter that you're going after with the coons and the possums, they seriously?
I didn't do that.
They have to grab a hold of the trigger.
Now she's gonna do it just to mess with you.
They have to grab a hold of the trigger. So that means their hand has to be down in there, and as soon as they grab that trigger, man, it fires, so it's catching. It's doing a good deep arm catch. There's no pullouts. We haven't had any problems. Now, of course, I don't really get that many days of freezing temperatures. But I have not had, knock on wood,
Ow.
I haven't had any freeze where they wouldn't fire. I've had these going on, how long we had these?
Several years.
6 seasons?
Probably.
7 seasons? What's up, Mark? I had to catch that. I've had these 6 or 7 years. Pulled them right out of the box, put the airline cable on them, and tossed them out on the trap line. This is the wear and tear that they've gotten. They've been in freezing rain, ice, a little bit of snow.
Yep.
They've been in the swamp. They've been on down the creek beds. They've been just about everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting them out again this year. I'm not doing anything to them. This airline cable is showing more wear and tear than the Duke trap. And look, and here's the thing. I know a lot of folks don't like Duke. But, you know, Duke is like, in my opinion, Duke is like Ryobi. Ryobi puts out an affordable, hard-working, reliable tool. And so far, every Duke trap that I have owned, whether it's been a Connie or the Coon Cuff or my Duke number 4, I love. The only thing I love more than a Duke number 4 is my Victor double long springs for beaver. And I think the only reason why I love the Victor double long springs more is because it's got the old-fashioned trap look to it, man. When you do that, you know, I kind of feel like I'm back in the 1800s with Lewis and Clark setting my beaver traps out there. But that's just me. But when it comes to reliability, I'd go to the Coon Cuff before I'd go back to my Victors.
It's target specific. I like that about it as much as anything. Because we don't have to worry about catching something that we're not going to catch. And
when if I'm on a nuisance wildlife call and it's a coon or a possum, I don't even put a cage out anymore. I put those out. Because then I don't have to worry about a cat.
Well, they're actually easier to bait, too.
And they're a lot easier to bait. And I don't have to worry about them going into the side of the cage and pulling out my bait that I stick in the back of the cage. Excuse me. Every tree there, sooner or later, they're going to grab a hold of that trigger. So before the internet crashed, we were talking about the MB550s, the Minnesota brand 550 offset jaw coral spring trap. Now that trap is more for your coyotes, foxes, bobcats.
Yeah, we got it fixed.
Those kind of, some of your larger predators. If you got chickens and you live out in the country, sooner or later you're going to have to fight those guys. Now, while we're waiting for a little bit more, see if some of the other people that come back in, because right now it's only showing 6. And for anybody else to have any more questions, both of these traps, this one and this one, come in my Homesteaders Trappers kit. You get 3 of these, 3 of these. They both come set, ready to go. That means I'm going to wash the grease and the stuff off of this guy, and I'm going to dip it. I'm going to put it in some speed dip, and it's going to turn black. Same way with this guy. I'm going to put an anchoring system on both. So if you order the Homesteaders Trappers kit, we're going to have a conversation, because I want to know about what kind of soil you got around your place, because there's no sense in me putting earth anchors on these things if you live near a beach or someplace like that. You get 3 of these. You get 1 of these. This is a stake driver. Only if you get earth anchors. You will also get 1 of these. This is what I call a 3-in-1 tool. Some call it a groundhog, some call it a sod buster. But it is a hammer with a like mad axe part that you can cut away at the ground. And this end right here that you can make your dirt hole with. I have had this particular one right here in my hand. I've had it 15 years. I know I've had it longer than I've been married to Robin. And Robin and I have been married 12, getting ready to be 13 years. So they're heavy. It's about 4 pounds, maybe 5 pounds. Great little tool. So this also comes in the kit. Plus you get some T-Rex rat traps, some T-Rex mouse traps. You get
kneeling pad. Did you say that? Gloves?
The kneeling pad.
Gloves.
You get gloves. Kneeling pad. Kneeling pad is what you put down on the ground that you can kneel on. You get the gloves. We can only go up to large.
No, I think we can do extra large.
You found a place for extra large?
I think I did extra large.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mama says we can go up to extra large. You get, what is it, 6 rat traps and 12
6 rat traps, 12 mouse traps, 3 MB550s, 3 coon cuffs, the kneeling pad, the groundhog, the driver stake. You get all of your traps are set up with swivels and earth stakes. If your ground permits.
Right. If not, then we have to switch to either the airline cable or a drag.
Right.
So all of that, plus a copy of my book when it gets published.
Did you say lures and baits?
Lures and baits. You get coon lure and coon bait. You get coyote or canine lure and bait.
Right. I think that's it.
And
I think we had discussed throwing in a little bit of wool as well. In there as well as an attractant. And
we're also putting in some sheep's wool as an eye attractant. The sheep's wool that came from our homestead. Okay. All of that. If you get it with the earth anchors, it is $300. If you have to switch and get drags or airline cable, depending on which way we decide to go, it can be a little bit more or it can be a little bit less. If you can weld and you're going to make your own earth or make your own drags, then it's probably going to be less because all you're going to be doing is adding on some chain. So you might be less than $300. It all depends on what anchoring system that we decide with as we communicate back and forth with this.
But what's really cool is that covers basically all of your homestead.
That covers every predator that you will encounter except raptors and snakes. But here's the thing. I said it once, I'll say it a million times. Everything in the animal kingdom, including people, we follow our food source. So, if you're trapping out the mice, guess what? There's not going to be any snakes around. At least not as many, because they're not going to be accidentally finding your place because they've been going after the mice, following the mice and following the rats. Same way with your canines and cats. Look, most of your coyotes and foxes, their main feasts are field rats, field mice, and then it goes to rabbits and squirrels and stuff that they can get a hold of that way. So if you're eliminating some of those, then you're basically eliminating the chances that these guys are coming. But the one thing about this product, about any of my traps, whether you just buy the coon cuffs or you just buy the MB550s or you buy some Dukes or you buy some Conibears, if you have any type of livestock, I don't care if it's rabbits, if it's chickens, if it's cows, if it's sheep, if it's goats, if it's groundhogs or gerbils and hamsters, and they stay outside, sooner or later, you're going to have a predator issue. Fact of life. No matter how much electric fence you put up, no matter how Fort Knoxy you make your chicken coop, or you make your rabbit hutch, sooner or later, it's going to happen. You're going to wake up that one morning and you're going to come out to some dead chickens, some dead rabbits, missing quail, missing eggs.
Right. And the worst part is if you don't have traps and then you go, hey, Jason, I need.
Yeah.
By the time we get them to you,
yeah,
you've lost more chickens, usually.
Yep. Now, the T-Rex rat traps can also target weasels. They're small enough that they can get the weasels and the minks.
I like what William said is basically everything you need to start. And that was the whole
premise.
idea behind this, is that you would have everything you needed, that you wouldn't have to stop what you were doing and order something.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. The very first morning that you walk out there, you got, let's just say you got one dead chicken. Head gone, neck eaten, chest eaten. Okay? That's a coon or a possum. So now, you got to run, get a hold of me, whether it's email or you call. If I don't have that trap on hand, I have to order that trap and have it sent straight to you. But this is how the trap comes. Okay? It comes just like this with no anchoring system. So, the trap either has to get sent to me. I put the anchoring system on it real quick. I get it dipped, get it to you. That's about a week process right there. Easy. That's if Minnesota's not behind.
Right. And we're getting into trapping season.
So everybody's starting to order. So it could take at least a week. Because once I dip this, it's got to sit for 2 days. Easy 2 days. And that's if I dip it and the weather conditions are perfect. Because the dip is different than a dye. You could be an easy 2-3 weeks before you get this in hand. By then, you've lost pretty much all of your flock. Okay? Now, some of your local feed and seeds, they carry some traps. Right? But some feed and seeds, they carry good Duke traps. They carry the Freedom brand traps, if you can find them. Most of the traps that you're going to find, though, are going to be the cheap, real super cheap Chinese built traps made out of the real puny steel that you tug on it good one time and it's going to break.
Well, and the other thing is, it's not going to be dyed or waxed.
It's not. Yeah.
Or have a anchoring system.
It's not. No, you're still going to have to put all of that on it as well. So this is one of those things that you buy it, you tuck it away, and then when you walk out there that morning, the hardest thing that you got to worry about is identifying which predator got your critter. Because after you got it identified, you'll have everything in that kit that you'll need to be able to combat that predator with the Homestead Trapper's Kit. So I'm still waiting on for some questions. Anybody got any questions about the MB550, the Homestead Trapper's Kit, the coon cuff, anything like that? Anyone? Bueller. Jason, doesn't the traps have to be dipped each year? If they're dipped, no. If they're dyed, yes. If they're dipped, you pretty much got to do it like every 3rd year or every 4th year, because the dip is almost like a paint. I personally, I do the dip when I'm in a rush or I'm in a hurry. But if I've got the time, I will dye them. Now, for the Homestead Trapper's Kit, the reason why I'm dipping them is because if I was to dye them, you guys would have to dye them again also, and you'd have to do it every year. At least this way, I get it in, I can get the trap in your hand and it's ready to go for your emergencies, because if you're using it as the Homestead Trappers Kit, you're not running a trap line with these guys. So the dip would last a lot longer.
And William Galloway made a good point. Most of the time, if you find them in local shops, they're going to cost much more because their overhead, their markup is ridiculous. You would probably pay just for that trap, the MB550, you're probably looking at $45. I remember when we went to
Thompson?
McDuffie, they were like $35, $45. They were expensive.
Because they've got to cover their, depends on where they bought it from. Like if they bought it from somebody like me, they're paying the retail. Then they got to also cover their cost of the shipping.
Right. And then their markup.
Yeah. And then there's the average markup is about 30%.
Which in this case is not.
Yeah. With us it's not, because we're not allowed. We're only allowed to sell it at the retail price.
Per our agreement.
So, I chose the Freedom brand for the Homestead Trappers Kit mostly because of this plate right here. So that way, if mom or a daughter or a young son needs to set this trap, they can do like my girls do, set it down, wedge it on something, and then step on it, step on this plate, and then you can set it. With the Duke, you can't do that. My girls tried it and bent some of these up.
Well, and the other thing is the way that trigger's set.
Yeah, and then the way that the trigger's set can't do it. As soon as you do with this one, as soon as you collapse it down, it hooks right there and catches. Okay? Hey, Lonely Prepper. Lonely Prepper says, greetings, oh trap master, and everyone. So that's why I went with the Freedom brand. Now granted, it is the push-pull trigger, but anybody can set it by being able to step on this, and I figured that was that outweighed the chances of the dog's tongue or the cat's tongue getting caught in here. Now, what do I bait this with? Okay, I and Willow Creek ducked out kind of early, and I didn't get to this. But if they buy some from us, I'll talk to them about it. I bait this with dry cat food. I will fill it all the way up to the top, and then I'll put a little lure here on the lip or back here. I'll set some lure, and that's it. And I walk away. I may put some fish oil around it or whatever. Depends on where I'm trapping. If I'm trapping around my chicken coop, I'm not putting fish oil down because that's a smell that doesn't belong there. But the dry cat food seems to work best for me here in Georgia. I know a lot of guys like to put those little tiny white marshmallows. They like to put them in there. I've heard of guys hard boiling an egg and jamming it in there. Let's see. Blaze one year packed all of ours full of tuna fish. He mixed up a, we have a bait recipe that we use for what's called pocket holes with the little #1, but he decided to use it in a coon cuff. Don't ever do that, because one, the coon won't be able to clean it all out, and then it gets all nasty and gunky in there, and it will slow the trap down from firing once it gets dried in there, and it's a booger to clean out. So dry cat food, dry dog food, those kind of things put in this puppy, and they'll basically start reaching in here and eating. Then eventually they'll sit down like they're at the Red Lobster and just start eating. And here's the thing about coons. Okay, there's usually more than one. They are definitely type of a family group type of animal. They'll try. You don't want to call it a pack because it doesn't act like a pack, and it doesn't act like a pod. But they are definitely a family group type of animal. I've pulled 30 plus coons out of one little corner. Carol, year before last, caught 22 raccoons out of this one tiny little section. I mean, I think she set 6 or 8 traps in one spot. And every morning when we came back, we had like 6 or 8 coons. Every night. And so I'm talking with a guy in Pennsylvania right now that he's set some traps. And he's come back. He set like 30, wasn't it like 30 some traps? And he's come back every morning, had a coon. So if there's not a lot of predator pressure on the coon, then they're going to reproduce like it ain't nobody's business. And the next thing you know, they're in the neighborhood. So it's always, and that's one of the reasons why we put more than one in here, because I'm a firm believer if the area is good enough for one trap, it's good enough for 2. And most of the time, if it's good enough for 2, it's good enough for 3. There will be times that I will go into the bottom of a little creek bed, and within a 5-foot area, I'll have 10, 15 traps.
Well, and one is none.
And the reason for that is if one critter is going there, other critters are going too.
The other thing too, you were talking about one walking off with one. If you only had one in the set and something walks off with one, then you don't have any traps. At least if you have 2 or 3 in there, you still have a couple left over.
Plus, excuse me. Especially when it comes to coons. Now, possums are solitary. You only usually have one in an area, but a possum is a scavenger. Lonely said replied. He's basically out looking for everything and anything. So he is more of a predator of opportunity. He doesn't really hunt. He just walks around until he finds something to eat. With coons, on the other hand, they are predators. They'll hunt. And so they will come searching for your chickens. They will search out the dog food or the cat food that you put in these traps. So. Okay. Can you have somebody bring me some more tea, please? Thank you. So, any more questions? And I'm gonna, if not, then I'm gonna go ahead and end this part 2 since we had the interruption from the first go around. That's not a good look on your face that you just poured it in my glass.
No, it's just bubbly. That's all. It's just bubbly. That's all.
If I am not here for
no, it's just because the way
Saturday's live stream, then somebody called the law because Robin just poisoned.
No, when it swished, it made a couple bubbles, and it just looks funny on my cup.
We did just get a new life insurance policy on me, so I'm not here Saturday. But okay, if you guys want to purchase the Homesteaders Trappers Kit, or if you guys want to purchase just the coon cuff, the MB550, or any type of traps or trapping supply, whether it's the T-Rex rat traps, the T-Rex mice traps, the groundhog, gloves, the kneeling pad, any type of lures or baits. Right now, because we're still searching for somebody to help build our website. Right now, just send an email to bigbearfarms@hotmail.com. That's bigbearfarms@hotmail.com. And in the title section, just put traps. And then we will talk with you about the traps that you want to purchase. We're gonna basically I'm gonna be asking you some questions because I don't want you to waste your money. This is the number one reason. I'm not trying to be nosy. I just don't want you to waste your money. You thinking that you've got a coon possum problem? Then we're gonna talk coon cuffs, not MB550s. And then we're gonna talk about what type of ground you have around that area where you think you're gonna be putting traps. Do you have a lot of trees? Da 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 da. Because if I can save you some money by putting some airline cable on there instead of an earth anchor, then by all means, that's what I want to do. Bonterre, all joking aside, I am going to be experimenting, making my own lures this year, and I will be using some essential oils. All joking aside. I will be using some essential oils in some of my lures / baits this year. If they work, then I'm probably going to ship some to like William Galloway, because I know he traps, and a couple other people I know trap, and I'm going to tell them to try it. And if they are successful with it, then I'm going to put it out there on the market. See you later, William. Thanks for coming by. So, any last minute questions? Remember to order any traps or trapping supplies. Please just right now just send an email to bigbearfarms@hotmail.com. That's bigbearfarms@hotmail.com. There's no other questions, and we're going to call it a night. And Robin and I will be back Saturday, just to chew some fat, just to hang out with you guys, give you kind of a weekly recap. Update on with our channel. This weekend we are going to film. Every weekend we are going to film, and we're going to try to film enough videos to put one out every day. I'm going to be, and this is how it's going to go. We're going to have one video doing something with essential oils. Whether it's making a soap or making a diffuser or something. It's going to be something essential oil related. We are going to do one with cooking. Robin has heard the pleas. She's going to get back in the kitchen with the video camera, and she's going to start to make some cooking videos. Then we are going to do something with predator control. Whether I just talk about traps like I did today, or if I talk about the different types of traps, a specific critter, maybe some comparisons between traps, maybe different sets, do some sets, stuff along those lines with the critters when it comes to predator control. And we will also be covering the predators for your garden, those little pesky little insects. We're going to be talking about those guys too. We're also going to bring back, by popular demand, this one really caught me off guard. The cool dude with the bling, is he stopping by too? I don't know what you're talking about. We got approached at the Homestead of Americas conference. A lot of guys were busting my chops. Hey, why'd you stop your home repair, home improvement videos? So we're going to bring those back. So you got essential oils, cooking with mama, predator control, home improvement, and we're going to do this. We're going to keep up with the sustainable living series, and we will do something homestead related. And then Mama and I may put a vlog out, but we're pretty much going to have videos at a minimum 6 days. We're going to do all the filming over the weekend, and then I'll schedule them to come out during the week. So be looking on Monday for our very first video. So, okay, we got some more people that pop back in. People are saying they just now got the notification that we came back on. Are there any final questions about the MB550 or the coon cuff or the Homestead trapping kit. Hey, Tams. Hello. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name because I am not going to butcher it. But your initials are LG. Okay. Clock around the neck. Gotcha. We may be bringing him back. I have been talking with Squash off and on. He got real busy, and we've been starting to talk about him doing stuff for the kids again, and bringing back Squash to do maybe a once a month or something where he pops in and he does a video for the kids to teach them a little bit about homesteading and science behind some animals and stuff like that and plants. So we may Squash may be making a guest appearance every now and then on the channel. Alright guys, well I gotta run. I gotta eat some dinner. Robin and I got a commitment that we have to get to around 7:30. So love you guys. See you guys Saturday. Remember, Nate 408 says the MB550 is the best trap, bar none. Thank you, Nate. I 100% agree with you. Minnesota did a great job putting that trap together. They paid attention to the trappers when they built that trap. They seen everything that the trappers were doing to the footholds for coyotes and wolves and foxes, and they put it all in one trap already made. It's a very strong trap. It's American made. It's made by Minnesota Trap Line. I mean, there is just not I can go on and on, but coming straight out the box, pretty much ready to go. All you got to do is get it rusty and dye it and wax it and put an anchoring system on it. Any other foothold, when it comes to catching these canines, you've got to do other stuff to them. So for the price, you buy one of those other traps like a Victor 1.75 or some of the other ones, you're almost paying what the Minnesota trap costs. Then you've got to purchase all the other additions to it to bring it up to specs to be relevant, to make it apples to apples. So when it comes price wise, it beats everybody hands down. Performance wise, it beats everybody hands down. So thanks guys. Thanks for coming by Trap Talk. We appreciate it. Tell your trapping friends, or tell somebody that may be interested in trapping. We are going to do this show every Thursday at 1900. We came on early today because of the commitment Robin and I had. But I didn't, and last week, I'll be honest with you, I was doing stuff for the post office, completely forgot, slipped my mind. But we'll be back next week. Next week, I'm going to try to have Ricky Wallace from Wallace Knife Works in Homestead on the show. We're going to talk about his knives, his trapping set that he has, that has the Skinner, it has the Big Bear beaver knife, it has the fleshing knife. So that's the plan. We're going to try to talk to old get Ricky Wallace on the show next week. Super excited about that. Because we were supposed to have him on last week, and I dropped the ball. It was my fault. But I think he still loves me. So, guys, I will see you Saturday when we're sitting around chewing the fat. Till then, remember, be kind to one another. You don't know what that other person's going through or what's happened to them during that day or what kind of extra stress that they may have going on in their lives right then and there. You don't know what kind of anxiety that they're dealing with. Be a true neighbor. Be a friend. Also, do your part. Recycle, reuse, repurpose something. Keep things out of the landfill, because the less stuff we put in the landfill, that means the less landfills we're going to need, which means the less trees they're going to have to cut down, which means the less habitat for our critters that they're going to have to take away. So that way you and I can go out and enjoy the great outdoors. And start taking a kid with you. Hunt with your kid, not for him. Thanks for coming by the Big Bear Homestead. We'll see you guys Saturday. And like always, have a nice day. Bye.